We are open for business. All right. Let's see.
Right.
All right. Who we got? We got Paul on board. There we go.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Johnny V. That's my boy right there.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Johnny, I don't even know what to say. We had a nice chat recently and he is so supportive and fabulous.
I can't wait to meet him in person, honestly. There's a lot of people. Kay's another one. Barbara, Glenda. I'm recognizing these names. You got Mitch.
Hi. Yeah, Johnny. You got your ski pass, John?
I was like, he's going skiing with you, right?
Yeah, he is. He got his pass all set up and coming in town here in February. So it snowed big time last night, John. So it's going to be good. It just keeps up.
You'll be able to give him some pointers tonight, Greg.
Well, let's see. Well, let's hope so. He's pretty set up. I know that. So
like, think snows. Think
yeah.
snow.
Bob's on board. Hi, Bob. Okay.
All
Okay.
Right. So, Greg, are you doing the cooking?
And I'm always doing the cooking. Yeah.
That is a man after my own heart.
You know, if I cook it, then that's the way I like it. So, yeah.
I just found out my patient told me today how to make a garbage can turkey.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? No, and he explained it. It's like when they would go camping, I guess he and his family would go camping. And it sounds actually really good.
So what's in it, Cozy? I mean,
so he gets the old-fashioned metal trash can, and he says he cures it on the inside first, and he puts like aluminum pan on the floor with a steak, and he puts the turkey on the steak, and then puts the trash can over the turkey.
Okay.
And then put charcoal briquettes like on the garbage can and around the garbage can to heat it up, and like 2.5 hours, you have a turkey.
Wow.
Can.
Sounds like a good camping hack there. I like it a lot.
It's something.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
Bob from Florida.
Hi, Bob.
Yeah, damn, on your way, Cozy.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Bob, what part of Florida are you in?
Gotta type faster.
No, Bob types as fast as I do.
Yeah, me too. I'm chicken. I'm always like big fingers and little keys. All right.
Oh, awesome. All right, guys. So
the villages.
Oh, so you're just a little bit further north than I am. I actually gave a talk at the Villages like 3 years ago when I first opened up my clinic. Yeah, that's a nice community. It's huge. Huge. It's out in the country, but it's like.
So do they drive golf carts out there? Because
I think so. If it's the one I'm thinking of, yeah.
I love that. It's something about a golf cart. I always wanted one.
Yes.
Well, now
tractor, John Deere tractor, golf cart, something.
Well, maybe down where you're moving to, you can get yourself a little golf cart to get around.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, I'd probably get run over in Mexico with my golf cart, but it's a good thought. All right.
Awesome.
So should we get started? What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
A few signed up. So, all right.
All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Chris Urbacher. I'm one of the product specialists for VitalFit. And the topic tonight is Get Movin'. So we're pretty excited to help you folks with that. Before I get into our two fabulous facilitators, I just want to bring a couple things to mind. Support group leaders, thank you for your support. We've got a couple great giveaways tonight. If you don't have a chance to win those, we've got a great discount code at the end. And Paul Sewell is going to go ahead and throw up a slide just to let folks know the chat feature, which is how we will communicate this evening. So on your desktop, if you hover your mouse, you're going to see a chat that looks just like that. Click on that, go ahead and type into it and hit send. And if you are on a cell phone, the chat feature is under participants. At the bottom, you see chat, click on that. And that is how we are going to communicate with Greg and Cozy tonight. Perfect. So this evening, we have the pleasure of Cozy Bioso. Cozy's been in clinical practice for over 17 years. She has her master's in physical therapy, and she has her own clinic in Florida, which specializes in limb loss. She's a unicorn because there's not a lot of folks like her. Yeah. She's also got an amazing Facebook live show every Wednesday night, Cozy Talks, note behind her. So please check that out. Again, dedicated to the community with amazing guest topics, everything pertinent to the community. So welcome, Cozy.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, my pleasure. Our pleasure. Greg Menino. Greg has been in the prosthetic industry for over 20 years. He's worked in the clinical field with them, manufacturers, as well as R&D. He happens to be a certified practitioner. He's also an AK, mind you, a very short AK, who is a world champion downhill alpine. Sorry, is that okay that I said short?
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
Well, it's always been a challenge with height too.
World champion downhill alpine skier. He's medaled 22 times in the Olympics and the Paralympics. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Thank
you, Cozy. Good to see you. So.
Likewise. This is why I like the fact that you do your introduction after mine.
I am sorry.
No, we need to keep it that way. That's good.
Well, ladies first. Okay.
All right, guys. So welcome this evening. I know we're creeping up on Thanksgiving, so thank you guys for joining us in this during this holiday week. And yes, I have some amazing viewers on the show. Johnny, thank you so much. So tonight, guys, we're going to give you just a little brief overview about what VitalFit is about. This is something that I feel very strongly about. I know Greg does as well, with regards to care for our patients. And then we're going to get into the get moving part. And this is something that is definitely in the PT wheelhouse. And definitely I work so closely with prosthetists on this. So this is kind of one of my favorite topics to talk about.
Awesome.
So let's go ahead and get started. So one of the things that Greg and I talk a lot about on these shows is the importance of skincare. And VitalFit, like I said, has been kind of a godsend after being in the field for 17 years and not having anything specific that I could recommend to patients with regards to caring for their skin. So this particular product line that many of you have probably already tried out before is designed specifically for diabetics and their skin. And the reason is because if you don't have healthy skin that is happy, intact, you're dead in the water. It doesn't matter how good your socket is, how good your knee, or how good your foot, you're not going to get anywhere. So, and I know Greg has quite a few things to say about that as well.
No, exactly. And I think that's a good point, Cozy. As a prosthetist and a user of a prosthesis, it all starts with your skin integrity. And without good skin integrity, if you've got breakdowns or any issues, it'll slow you down in your endeavors in daily life and as you want to pursue sports. So the VitalFit system has really changed my life. So I'm a believer like Cozy. It just has enabled me to do more. And prior to this system, there was really nothing specific out there. And I was using, drugstore remedies, and I always use whatever was available. And ever since VitalFit, my activities have increased dramatically because I'm just not having the issues I did. So it's an amazing line. So if you haven't tried it, it's time. So.
And one of the things we like to go over, and I know I go over this with my patients all the time, is just basic skincare, guys, basic skincare and liner hygiene. So the basic 101 that I tell my folks is every 24 hours, get yourself into the bath or the shower, wash off that leg, wash off everything, sweat, bacteria, which again, the cleanser is just wonderful in that regard because it works great with all types of skin, even the most sensitive skin, and you can use the cleanser on the rest of your body. And then after cleaning your own skin, obviously the liner is the next thing that needs to be cleaned every single day. I have some patients that they didn't quite understand that they thought they could go a day or two. And I'm like, no. Once every 24 hours, that liner needs to get into the shower with you and cleansed out. And you can use the same cleanser that you use on your skin and rinsed several times over with warm or hot water and then out to dry. So that's typically where I ask my patients, do you have two liners? You should have at least two liners, one that's drying and one that you're wearing. Greg, anything else?
Right. No, it's absolutely a good point, Cozy. If you're wearing a liner or if you've had suction fit or whatever your scenario is, keeping it clean as possible. You could wash the socket out. If you're wearing any type of socks with the liner or any type of sheath, anything that touches your skin, the cleaner it is, the better performance you're going to have with your skin. The system kills bacteria, kills any fungal properties that are in there, and controls sweat and odor. So it's the best system out there. And all of us who are wearing a prosthesis experience these issues. And if we can solve that in the beginning, you're going to get a better outcome with your prostheses throughout your daily life. So
there you go. And guys, those of you who have watched my show, you know I'm really big on saying explore all of your options when it comes to feet and knees and suspension systems and sockets and all that kind of good stuff. When it comes to skincare, this is the one time I break the rule and I say, just go with VitalFit.
Yeah,
honestly, you got everything you need right there. You don't really have to experiment with a bunch of different things. Some people come into my clinic and they say, I love using XYZ from the drugstore and it works for me. And I say, go for it, keep using it. But for the most part, most of my patients don't know what to use on their skin and what not to use. So this is just wonderful in that regard.
It'll solve any issues you're having. And I monitor a lot of Facebook amputee sites, and I see a lot of people with skin issues, that being, rashes or skin breakdown. And I'm always on there sharing the link saying, hey, listen, look at VitalFit. This will solve the problems you're experiencing, and you're going to have a better outcome. And a lot of prosthetists today and PTs, everybody works really hard to put the latest technology, get you up and mobile. And this is just going to be one thing you can do daily to really help yourself out. So the VitalFit system is just hands down the best. And even like Cozy says, if somebody's using XYZ, I always go, well, that's great, but you may want to try this. Yeah. So a little bit different. I just, from personal experience, there's not a better system out there. So
awesome. All right. Well, on that, we're going to have our first giveaway.
Awesome.
So for this evening, we have our VitalFit Travel Kit. It has all four products, a generous amount in each, and this will be free. We're going to put the email address, which would be mine, so you can send your address. So the first person, Jamie's put the link in there, the first person to like us on Facebook will win a free starter kit. Ooh. So we're going to give that a little bit of time. Don't leave home without it. Amen.
Yeah, Johnny.
That's what I'm talking about. And it's less than 3 ounces, so it goes on a plane. Just saying.
Yeah.
So see the link on the chat, click on that, like us, and we will pick the first person winner and let you know who that is. And now we can get into Get Moving with Cozy.
Yes. And Teresa, I noticed that you raised your hand. If you have a question, Teresa, throw it into the comment section, into the chat section.
Yeah.
And that's how we're going to be monitoring all the questions for tonight. So we kind of came up with this topic, guys, because this is something that I hear a lot from my viewers on Cozy Talks. I see this a lot. Hey, Ashley. I see this a lot in my own clinic, where a person will finish traditional physical therapy, or they will get to the point where they're comfortable with their prosthesis and moving around, and they want to explore the big, great outdoor world, but they don't know where to begin. They don't know how to be safe. What are their options? So this is what we're going to be kind of covering tonight. And again, this is a huge umbrella of possibilities, especially with all the different levels that we have represented here tonight. So we're going to try to kind of touch a little bit on everything and give you something that you can take home today and start tomorrow to use. So, what happens when you finish using your prosthesis? I know for many of my patients, I try to get them into the community and at least independent, going to the grocery store, going to their doctor's offices, moving around town. But some folks don't even make it that far before they're cut off from their therapy or what other services that they're receiving. So I always like to kind of go over what are some of the general options that we have available. We have the traditional gym, which obviously right now in many parts of the country, closure. Yep. And also we run into the fact that many gyms don't have adaptive equipment. So it's kind of intimidating to walk into some of these gyms and go, okay, I mean, I don't even know how to use half the machines in a gym, much less, how to navigate that environment. So for instances like that, I usually recommend to folks, get that personal trainer. Nowadays, we're starting to see more personal trainers. I know I have 2 in my area that have called me to say, hey, we're starting to work with people who are wheelchair bound. We have one of your patients who came to see us, who's, you know, obviously using a prosthesis. How can we modify their exercises? So they are starting to pop up. And if you just kind of listen closely in the grapevine of your gym in your area, you might find someone like that. Okay. And also you have options such as I call it after hours physical therapy. So I know a lot of my colleagues that are like myself, that they own smaller clinics. We are offering after hours fitness programs, which is kind of nice because you have the ability to be under the supervision of a licensed physical therapist. So somebody who understands amputee injuries, preventing injuries, and usually at a cost that's sometimes even less than a gym membership.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of those popping up, and it doesn't even have to be an amputee specialist. If you look for somebody who's a sports specialist, orthopedic specialist in your area, you're probably going to find someone who can handle this. So Greg, what do you see with your patients when they're trying to make this transition?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that just to go on a little bit further with Cozy's talking about, there's amputee support groups. So that may be a great avenue to speak with some of the people in your group or in some of these organizations that are out there nationally. They may be able to help if you go to the gym, you can't find PTs, you can't, your process is not supplying this information. So again, you know, look into your support groups, talk to the physical therapist you work with, your prosthetist. And again, I think we're all talking a little bit about the newer amputee right now. As you excel and get better and better, I think that you can probably challenge the weight room on your own with a regular personal trainer. But Cozy's right. I see a lot of people, and there's a lot of enthusiastic trainers out there that want to work with amputees. They want to be, you know, have that involvement with somebody who's physically challenged, and I think that's awesome. So look into that. Maybe, like I said, your amputee support groups and or your disabled support groups that are in every state out there nationally. So, but what we try to do with guys, you know, I try to help any way I can. I know that's what Cozy does, is what, you know, we try to, you know, and I don't want to pitch what you're doing yet, Cozy, because she's got something really special going on. But to try to, I won't say anything, but I think it's pretty neat that you could just share your own experiences. And if you're having success and you're, you know, beyond the PT a little bit, having success and what you're doing, share it with your peers, share it with your group, and you'll really help out those other patients that may be beginning or have found themselves, you know, caught in a rut that they can't excel any further. So yeah, share your experiences and share your goals. I think that's a really good one to think about. So,
and I'll just kind of circle back again to the PT personal trainer relationship. So for example, in my case, just the nature of my life right now, I'm not able to handle that post-fitness side of my patients. And I've had a couple of patients that their personal trainers called me, and I was so excited about that. Because I do understand a personal trainer is not going to have the same qualifications as a physical therapist, but a personal trainer who's consulting with a physical therapist on a patient who is ready to be in that environment, it's a really wonderful, wonderful thing. And we, you know, in talking to the personal trainer and saying, okay, you need to modify the exercises in this way and that way and this way, watch the person's skin, make sure you're doing this so that they don't get injured. And it can really be a really great thing, and give you all some options. It takes a little more legwork because again, we're just starting to see these kind of relationships pop up in our communities, but well worth the looking around. So another thing I want to kind of touch upon is adaptive sports. That's something else we're starting to see a lot more of nowadays. And if you look carefully, it's not so much of a unicorn anymore. And we were having this discussion prior to the show going live, is that every state now, you know, if you put it into your search engine, Google search engine, you're going to find some sort of organization that works with adaptive sports. So one of my favorites out in Richmond, Virginia is called sportable.org. And I put the website up there mainly not because I know many of you are not in the Virginia area, but just so you can take a look at that website and see what it is that they're doing and try to find something in your area. Greg, I know you mentioned something, another organization.
Yeah, there's Disabled Sports USA. That's a national organization that has chapters in every state, numerous chapters too. So there may be one in South Florida and Northern Florida. So if you Google that, you'll find a group that, and depending on what sport you want to get involved in, if it's adaptive sailing, or jet skiing or snow sports. I mean, it's all out there. So it could be a huge, you know, information highway there to let you pursue whatever you love to do. So Disabled Sports USA, yeah, they're great.
And then also going back to the support groups where you have adaptive sports junkies like Johnny V there.
Yeah.
If anything, I'm actually been referring my patients. Like I have some patients who really want to go back into bicycling and they're just going, well, how is an above knee? Do I manage the pedal? And rowing? That's the other question I had thrown at me by one of my viewers. And I'm like, okay, this Facebook support group I know has an active rower. This one has an active biker. We got Greg here with the skiing and the snow sports. So it's starting to really bubble up and the communications are just kind of crossing. So if there's a sport that you are curious about, if there's a sport you want to try, you're going to find someone out there who's going to be able to make that connection for you. So it just a little more legwork on that part. And I know we have some folks here who are extremely active. So if you guys have any suggestions in terms of adaptive sports or where to look, or even just a hack that you have for your particular sport, go ahead and throw it into the chat section.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good point. And I see Johnny. Yeah, thanks for putting that in there. Move United. Okay, so Disabled Sports USA. I did see this week come up, Johnny, and I thought they were calling that the event that they typically have here in December next week. That now is kind of virtual with all the things going on. So thanks for the information there, John. I appreciate that. So, but again, I think Cozy has it spot on. And again, if you can share your experiences, if you figured out how to adaptive row that you can help your next friend in your group, then share these experiences, because this is where it all comes down to, is we're here to help and get people together and share your experiences. So
and Ashley's writing down there, boxing is good and helps with the balance. It's amazing for balance and trunk rotation. So good for trunk rotation. And she says most of the trainers have been able to modify the workouts. Kay says challenge.org is up here in Alaska. And I want to bring up another one, OPAF. And unfortunately, OPAF right now, they're kind of going through some transition and trying to figure things out. But when I worked with OPAF, it was amazing with the variety of clinics. And what always surprised me is people would show up for the tennis clinic, the rock climbing clinic, the dance clinic, and they would say, I've never played tennis. I've never been on a rock mountain. I've never danced, this particular dance before, but I want to try now. So kind of push yourself out of that comfort zone. I guess I would encourage you to try to do something like that.
Yeah, and ROMP is a good one too. ROMP.
Yeah.
The range of motion project is
they're amazing. They're amazing. And on that note, Teresa, congratulations.
Oh, Teresa, yay!
Teresa won, and Jamie's going to put my email address right there for you. Maybe take a picture. Please send me your address and I will send it to you.
Awesome.
Wonderful. And Teresa's on that cusp right there. She's been rocking it, learning to use her legs. So I know this talk tonight, Teresa, this is a lot for you. Johnny, thank you so much for putting it up there. And guys, again, if you have any organizations in your area, throw it out into the chat box just so we can, you never know who might be in your area looking for this.
That's right. Yeah. And you know what? We may overlook something. So again, we're here to help. So
yeah,
share the information.
So let's talk a little bit. So now, we were kind of joking, like, how can we focus? What can we give you all? Something that you can start working on yourselves within your homes with all these crazy lockdowns. So we decided to split it up between cold weather and warm weather. Guess who's got the cold weather?
Over here. Yep. 4 inches of new snow today. So.
So Greg, I'm going to let you go first to talk about navigating snow and ice, because I get those questions on the show and it's like crickets chirping for me.
Right. Well, I think it's another thing that you can experience. And, from, like Cozy said, just the basic negotiating, walking with a prosthesis in snow or ice can be very daunting and very scary. And when you think you're doing the best, it can all go haywire. So what I recommend using trekking poles for most people. And if you're uncomfortable and feeling like, hey, this is a little slick, it's not bad to have some kind of security blanket there. So, when you progress, even just ambulating in there are some devices out there that add traction to your shoes. I think that's not a bad thing to do if you find yourself up in Alaska or always in this kind of environment. I find myself taking baby steps a lot of times, even that I'm pretty agile, but like for me, when it goes wrong bad. So, so maybe really talk about, think about foot placement and really be cautious about looking at the ground. So that's one of the first biggest challenges for walking around in the ice and snow. When you want to continue on to snow sports, kind of where my expertise is nowadays, if that is snowshoeing or Nordic skiing or snow skiing or snowboarding, whatever that may be, we start working with patients, and an optimum scenario is having a ski specific or sport specific prostheses, especially when you're kind of going into the higher levels of alpine skiing and stuff like that. You can do it with sea legs, you can do it with your whatever you're on, but to really optimize the outcome it's pretty neat to have something that's set up specific. And there's been a lot of discussions, and I think Cozy and I've had this discussion on alignments for these different activities. We try to set up walking alignment that you would be in your normal walking prostheses for all these other activities. And we don't really try to, stray from that too far, because initially you've got to walk to the chairlift and walk away from the chairlift. So if you've got this, exotic forward lean in the prostheses that people for some reason think that's needed, it really isn't. So I change a lot of systems out there back to a more usual customary type of walking alignment. So just a tip, if your prosthetist is out there putting a bunch of, turns on those screws and tipping your pylon really forward, maybe you want to talk to guys like Johnny, or give me an email, and I'll work with your prosthetist and talk about what has worked for all the group that we're working with. So that's a big one. I think getting somebody who's experienced in setting up these type of prostheses, and it's a little bit different when you're out there hooking skis and boots or snowshoes on things. But when it comes to snowshoeing, I basically use my walking prostheses and trekking poles, because I fall down a lot less when I have poles. So I think it's a huge thing. Invest in a set of those poles. They're cheap on Amazon, $20-$30, and they'll give you a ton of security when you're trying these sports. Even hiking, and as much as what Cozy and I were talking about, everyone, this all starts with just walking. And I'm a big proponent just to get patients out. If you're a new amputee or a seasoned amputee, if you're just going out and taking a walk daily and putting in a mile or two or whatever that goal is, that's going to help you in all these other activities. So I think that's a big one. And if you're going to pursue alpine skiing or snowboarding with your prostheses, all that walking you do prior to the event or getting on the snow is going to dramatically help you with proprioception, strength, and endurance.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's some of the cold weather. So Johnny says, I went on a hike today with trekking poles and they make it happen for me. Absolutely.
That's right. Right.
Let's see. Kay is from Alaska. She says, Greg, I have an MPK and struggle in our deep snow. Can't lock my knees. So do you just throw your leg up and over the snow, as my knee will collapse pushing through the snow? And also, I used to cross country ski, but can't seem to figure that one out. Yeah, that's all you, Greg.
Yeah, good questions. I think when you start getting, even with microprocessor knee, if you're trying to swing that knee through deeper snow, it's going to think that it's interrupting the swing phase. So it's, it's doing it naturally what it's programmed to do. It's going to lock. So a lot of times in deeper snow, if you're not in snowshoes, you're going to find yourself circumducting with the prostheses, trying to get it up and clear the snow. So it can be I would suggest if you're walking in that type of deep snow, it's probably one of the hardest, most physical things to do. Kind of like walking in sand. I know Cozy is going to touch on this. It's exhausting, but if you find yourself going into that scenario, get snowshoes, and it'll save you from post-holing into the snow and working so hard. And your microprocessor knee won't really be tricked into thinking you're tripping because there's interruption in the swing phase. So snowshoes, maybe that. Try to find where you don't have to walk in that deep snow. I know there's these situations in life that you're stuck to do it. One thing about some of these microprocessor knees, you have a second mode. They come with a key fob, so you could actually lock that out if it's that deep and it's really struggling. So maybe your process can program some different modes, or even less sensitive to interruption and swing phase to keep it from locking and kind of, postuling you to the ground or pendulum you to the ground. Yeah, my knee, I'm just reading it again, will collapse, pushing through the snow. So yeah, when you interrupt the swing phase in a sea leg, it wants to lock and then it'll go away. So if you try to stand on that in, 40 degrees knee flexion, a lot of times it'll just go away on you. And some of the other microprocessor knees out there, that's an inherent problem to those knees. They say they'll hold you, but it's all about the user then, and being really cognizant and having good proprioception and just really focusing on getting that extended. And it's probably one of the hardest things. So that's a great question. When it comes to cross-country skiing, that should be something that you have to really improve and refine your technique. A lot of times in my own personal case, and a lot of patients I work with, I'll get them to stand on their prostheses as a transfemoral. I work with a lot more transfemorals than I do transtibials, and skate and push with their sound side. So it's almost like you're, and again, these microprocessor knees have a key fob, so you can increase your cross-country ski mode that almost locks them out with about 5 or 10 degrees knee flexion. And you stand on that and you work on your skate technique, pushing your feet. And it's physical, but it will improve your everyday walking if you get into that sport. So it's one of the sports that's really humbling. I got to tell you, I try to cross-country ski, but I find myself doing face plants a lot because it's just part of that sport. Your heels aren't hooked in. So a little bit too much forward upper body leaning, you can go down pretty easily. So, but really, I think the biggest goal there is going out, getting in a track. And I think that's another big thing when it comes to cross-country skiing. If you just try to go off-piste and go break trail, hopefully you've got some able bodies doing that in front of you, and you can keep your skis in their tracks, or go on to a Nordic track that's groomed and you can keep your skis in the track, which makes it a lot easier. So your prostheses won't wander as much, which can be a problem too. So great questions. Maybe we can adjust your resistance in the knee depending on what microprocessor you have, and optimize it for these situations. So.
Sounds good. And
Yeah.
this is where I'm fascinated hearing this, because obviously in Florida.
I mean, there's great questions, I think, and these three things you're talking about can be very, very physical. And again, I want to revert back to, if you're just going out and taking a walk every day, you're going to have better proprioception and better strength and endurance. So when you start, engaging deeper snow or cross-country skiing, or thus alpine skiing or snowboarding, you're going to be ready for it. So again, we have to prepare for these things. And I try to think that through, even in, where I'm at in my life. I hike a lot this time of year and walk a lot, just anticipating I'm going to be in snow ski boots here pretty soon. So.
Wow. So,
Well, yeah, we've got a little experience. We've got a question.
Yeah, from
Teresa.
Teresa.
Is it necessary to swim successfully with a swim fin? If so, how? Where do I get one?
Okay, this sounds like we're going south of this one, Cozy. It's on you.
Yeah, this one's the warm weather. This is more of my wheelhouse right here. So guys, let's talk a little bit about warm weather. And even those of you right now who are, a little jealous of me here in Florida because you're way up north, you might want to listen, because I know many of you travel south during your vacation time. And probably one of the biggest questions I get from my own patients is, how can I get to the beach? How can I get back to the pool? So there's a few things that I kind of talk about with my own patients. Number one, probably the most important functional skill you're going to need is being able to get on and off the floor. Okay. Mainly because when you're going into a pool, this is going to be the approach as to how you get into the pool. And with the beach, let's face it, there's going to be a point in time where you're going to hit the sand. Hopefully it'll be nice, soft sand. But at some point you're going to want to lower yourself down onto the sand and get into the water that way. Or like I said, you might experience a stumble and just kind of get lowered into the sand. So being comfortable with getting up off the floor, that's probably one of the most important skills. And it can be a little bit daunting, but it is possible, guys. And I've taught bilateral above the knees, I've bilateral below the knees, above the knees, and certainly below the knee, unilateral, how to get up off the floor. And then the next thing is run a rehearsal. So the time to learn how to get into the pool is not the first day of summer when you're all full of sunblock and you're wearing that bathing suit that you feel a little bit self-conscious about or anything like that. That's not the time to think about how you're going to get yourself into the pool. You go when the pool is closed and there's nobody there and you have someone with you for safety that can help you figure out a path as to how to get to the edge of the pool. Which side of the pool are you going to get into? Which side of the pool has the steps, possibly a handrail? Now, most pools technically should have a wheelchair that lowers into the pool, the chair lift. I know the pools that I used to work at in college when I lifeguarded, they had that, but not all of them do. That's just the reality. And not all of them are functioning, even if they do have it. So it's always good to know how to get yourself into and out of the pool without the use of a chairlift. So again, this is the part where knowing how to get up and down off the floor. Some people, they decide, okay, well, I'm going to go to the edge of the pool with my leg on. I'm going to lower myself down onto the floor, take my leg off, hand it off to my family member, and then lower myself into and out of the pool. That's one way to do it. Some people decide, and these are people who are really, really good with their balance, that they're going to remove their leg in the bathroom or their changing area and then use crutches to get to the edge of the pool and get into the pool that way. Again, practice. Do a run through, because when you go to the pool and everybody's there and everybody's watching and looking and you're going to, that nervousness, you want to have that confidence to know that you've practiced this skill already and you've already done it. Okay. Now, once you're in the pool, I get a lot of questions. Do I need a swim fin? Do I need a special this and that and the other? Honestly, most of the folks that I know that go to the pool on a regular basis, they don't use any particular kind of water leg. They find it to be more cumbersome than to just get in the pool on their own. And contrary to popular belief, you're not going to start swimming in circles. Promise you that. Right. So that's usually I've gotten that question several times. Am I going to start swimming in circles? No. So my favorite in swimming, guys, I used to be a swimmer. I used to be a lifeguard. Swimming is one of my favorite exercises, and it's one of my favorites to recommend to people. There's so many great programs, the YMCA. I know they always have some sort of water aerobics. And for me, water is kind of the great equalizer. Whether you have one leg or two legs or no legs, once you get in the pool, the buoyancy, you can do pretty much anything that everybody else is doing in the pool, including exercise. So there might be some of you who have indoor pools that you might want to kind of start exploring those options during these winter months. Once you're in the pool, I usually recommend folks buy a kickboard, and you can get a really cheap kickboard for less than 20 bucks off of Amazon. You don't have to be a Paralympic swimmer or an Olympic swimmer to use a kickboard. It's basically grab the kickboard and kick. That's it. It's phenomenal exercise. You're working those glutes like it's nobody's business. You're getting an amazing cardio workout, and you're going to fulfill a lot of those check boxes that you need for staying fit as an amputee. And it's a relatively inexpensive way to stay fit. So that's kind of my pool talk. Hang on, I think I saw Kay says, I think I'll start by keeping my snowshoes by the door. I haven't even been able to find anyone who has tried cross-country skiing, so I'm thrilled that I could get back into it. There you go. Besides downhill skiing, my cross-country skiing keeps me in great shape.
Awesome.
See, Teresa said, I wondered about that, swimming in circles. So guys, go ahead. Sorry, Greg, go ahead.
One thing I just want to add up on your pool stuff, and it is a fantastic exercise. I think you could really, if you're unilateral, you can kick with your amputated side, which you get worked out there. I think people, want to kick with their sound side if you're that person. So think about that. I'll caution, I see a lot of amputees hopping around pools, taking their prostheses off. Yeah. Careful, because I've seen some bad injuries from people slipping, and it's just kind of like on ice, when it's a wet pool side. So a lot of amputees I work with too is optimum scenarios, having a water prosthesis, especially at the beach. The last thing you want to do is have to be, hopping or trying to get in the surf. If you can, if you're fortunate enough to be able to have that water prosthesis, or have your prosthesis set up one of your old legs, if you've got that sitting around, just something you can walk on the beach with. And I know a lot of the new, microprocessor knees out there, they're all waterproof, and a lot of these systems are. But if that's your primary prosthesis, it's not the best thing to take them in seawater. So you've got to do maintenance if you're going to do this. I know these manufacturers say, oh, no problem, do it, but it's pretty hard on it. And if it's your primary leg, I always try to tell the patients I work with, hey, listen, let's get you something else set up. And, but you know, in my personal life, I'd rather have something I can walk around in the surf in and not have to hop or go to crutches or something. So just something to think about. And, but if you're taking it in the leg, in your leg in the water, or the lake or the ocean, just make sure you got to rinse that thing off. So.
Yes, and absolutely. And then, so Greg, that's a perfect segue. When it comes to the pool, for the most part, my patients opt not to use a water leg because they just feel more comfortable. And I also want to point out, there's a young lady called Haven Shepherd. Not sure if you all have heard of her. She has a beautiful story. She's 17 years old. She's a bilateral below the knee, and she's training to be a Paralympic swimmer. And she's got chops. And it's beautiful to see her swimming in the water. And she obviously kicks with both residual limbs. So when I tell my patients, if you're doing this for exercise, kick the residual limb just as hard as you're kicking your sound limb. You're going to be working the gluteal muscles. When it comes to the beach, that's a slightly different story. For there, I talk to the person more about how to outfit a leg. And Greg hit upon just a couple of my favorite points. My favorite go-to is grab that old socket that still fits, but you're not going to care if it gets knocked around with salt water and sand. And then for my above the knee amputees, there's a couple of different options. Obviously, like Greg said, if you've got one of these super high-end microprocessor knees, yes, a lot of them, technically you can take it into the water. And like one of my dear friends who was here, she's like, yeah, when my knee's in warranty, I'll go and take it into the beach. If it's not in warranty, I won't, because I don't want to risk it. Perfectly, totally understandable. There's a lot of, I call them the door hinge options, but there's a lot of very inexpensive mechanical knees that can go into the water and nobody cares if they get salt water on them as long as you rinse it off afterwards. Some people I've also seen that they have, and forgive me, I can't remember the name of this right now, this setup where it's not a knee, it's an above the knee, it's just a pylon all the way down to the foot.
Yep.
And they just don't have a knee. And it also kind of makes it a little easier going through the surf because the knee is not bending and you're not having to work through it. That's another option. When it comes to feet, I believe somebody just pointed out there's one at prosthetics.com. The nice thing is there's a lot of water options for feet that are not terribly expensive. I know College Park has a water foot that even has a drain on the bottom so that it can drain out all the water from the pool or the beach. Another favorite of mine is a stubby foot. If you all are familiar with using stubbies, there's one, the Sidekicks one is just my personal favorite. And basically it's just a little rectangular tread. Mm-hmm. And it's really great for maneuvering around the pool, maneuvering in the shower and at the beach as well, because it has a tread on the bottom so it won't slip. Now, as far as navigating the beach and the sand, again, same way as I say to the pool. The first time you go to the beach that's not the time. You want to set up some time before your first big beach outing to practice, okay? Check out the area, figure out, okay, what are my entry points to the beach here in Florida? And again, every beach is a little bit different. We have these wooden ramps. Some of them are more cleared off than others. Some of them are closer to the bathrooms than others. Some of them have more stretch of sand that is hard packed compared to other entry points on the beach. And you kind of get to know your local beaches and say, okay, this one's going to be easier for me to maneuver. Sidestepping. And actually, I just realized I'm going to give myself a plug on this one. I just posted a video today on a sidestepping balance exercise with one of my patients. A lot of times when it comes to the beach, I tell folks, if you're running into a sticky area on the beach, especially when it's like a downslope and you got soft sand, turn yourself sideways and sidestep down. That makes it just a little bit more steady, especially if you can sidestep down leading with your sound leg, if that makes sense. Same thing when you're headed back up again, okay? Trekking poles, and I just got that idea now from hearing Greg. Hey, why not? Okay, honestly, if you can use them in snow, why not use them in the sand?
Could you use them when you're getting in and out of the water? So Kay's asking, how do we get in and out of the ocean without a leg? She says it's been a tad hysterical. God love you, Kay. Any suggestions? A little tough to get out without the leg.
Yes. And this is one that, again, just kind of troubleshooting over the years with my patients. It's like how people get on and off the floor. No patient does it the same way. Mm-hmm. Again, this is where that comes into play. So, Kay, I've seen recommended some of my patients, they take a nice sturdy beach chair. and they have their loved one put it right next to the water, so that if they decide not to go in the water with a leg on, they walk to the beach chair, sit in the beach chair, which they tend to be a little bit lower, right? Take the prosthesis off, lower themselves onto the sand, and kind of boot scoot into the water. So again, you're kind of putting yourself close to the shoreline, but then the person can just take the chair and take it back until you're ready to get back out of the water. So it's a kind of a multi-step process, but it's a way that you can do it and be independent and do it with some dignity, you know, be able to kind of push yourself up onto that chair and just sit there for a moment, put your leg back on. Some people also, I tell them, take their walker. Even if you're somebody who is independent walking on the sidewalk, the walker can give you a lot of extra support when you're on the sand. And again, this is where I say, guys, you know, go on a day where the beach is not full, take someone with you for safety, and just try out all these different ways and just see what's going to work for you.
So Greg, I went to the beach with Greg and his two fabulous canines. Greg, you're swimming with a leg, right?
Right. Yeah. I use the prostheses always on the beach. Any encounter that I'm in the water, unless I'm actually going to a pool and I'm swimming, then I'll take my prostheses off. But I'm not, and I try not to encourage people to hop if they're a unilateral amputee, because you're just pounding your hip, your knee, and that just creates long-term problems when you get older. So I'm a big proponent of setting up a water prosthesis and utilizing it. Walk into the surf, do all those things with it on if you can. If you want to go out there and swim, I think Cozy has a fantastic idea. The beach chair, you can get in the surf, swim away, come back, but you're not going to be hopping too far, because it can be very precarious trying to hop out of the surf when the waves are crashing against you. And you know, not only is it's kind of, you know, it can be, you know, hysterical. And I love her, you know, the comment that Kate put out there. I think it's Kate, but it's very difficult. I mean, it's just another element pushing on you and checking your balance. So I think that reverts back to what Cozy's saying, is if you can work on sidestep balance and improve your balance and strength prior to these endeavors of ocean or lake or whatever that is, you're going to do better. But for me, and I like to have people in the prostheses being able to just walk on the beach and naturally and effortlessly, as long as that sand's not too deep, and that's a big one. But walker's a great idea. Canadian crutches, that's fine. Whatever is, you know, or trekking poles, whatever assistive device is going to give you stability and let you go do what you want to do, then let's try it. But I think Cozy has the big tip here is get out there before. I mean, if it's a, you know, 4th of July barbecue with 400 people, maybe go there a week before to figure out the easiest way for you, so you're not, you know, just putting yourself in a situation that may be uncomfortable. So, but good point, Chris. Yeah, I'm big about a water prosthesis, and that's what we try to do. What I will warn people about is everybody who does use water prostheses, if you're doing jet skiing, make sure you have a leash, because we've seen, you know, I personally have lost a prosthesis. I've seen a lot of lost prostheses coming off from water skiing or doing water sports. So always a leash or some type of flotation device on that prosthesis. That's imperative, because they sink.
Definitely. It's funny, like a month ago, I think one of my colleagues, she sent me a local article about a local above the knee amputee. I think it was parasailing, and leg came off. And,
Right.
and he was actually on one of the support groups going, how can I prevent this? And I'm like, leash,
Yeah.
tie it onto yourself, because that's an expensive loss right there.
Right, surfboard leash or stand-up paddleboard leash. So, yeah. And that's another thing with it, maybe we should talk about, because stand-up paddle, I've done that a lot too, and it's a great avenue as an amputee, or if you're a bilateral, that, you know, they have seats on these stand-up paddles, and it gives you a balance scenario. You can get upper body workout. If you're standing on that, it's a fantastic device to work on core, work on balance. But always have a leash. It can be very precarious if you fall off, because a lot of transfemoral amputees, when you fall off a paddleboard, you end up falling backwards and shooting that board out, and then you're swimming. So wear your life preserver, get a leash. These are two things that are so important, not just for us disabled community, but I rescued a guy one time that was out in the middle of the lake who shot the board out, didn't have his vest on and no leash, and he was going to drown. And I was just happened to be there and close by. So I was just like, you know, what are you doing? Got the guy on his board, stands up, no vest, goes paddling away. And I'm just like, okay, well, so just a tip. And I think these are why we're talking about all these little scenarios you really have to pay attention to. And leashes will save your prostheses from fate of, you know, become a lobster house. So.
Yep. And then Johnny, that's actually a really great hack. He says, I duct tape noodle to my prosthesis when I water ski. So guys, those pool noodles, you slice it, cut it in half, and it fits beautifully around the pylon. And that's actually a hack that some of my patients use when they want to fill out their leg when they're wearing pants and they want the leg to kind of fill out a little bit. They'll put a pool noodle around the pylon.
Yeah, you know what we do too, Cozy, just over that comment. The fake little arm tattoo sleeves you can buy on Amazon. They sell packs of 10 for like $20, and you can pull that on to hold the noodle on, and you can change your, and instead of like trying to tape it or something, those little fake, you know, tattoo covers they make, or fake tattoo arm sleeves, they're fantastic for holding, you know, cosmesis on and or the noodles, because I know people who've done it. So. Another question real quick that Kate put in there, what water leg do I use? I basically use a Blatchford KX06, and I use it, I use one of those as my, you know, primary, secondary prostheses, as well as I use a Ginium from Sea Leg, but those KX06 from Blatchford, they are waterproof and they're fantastic in the water, and they walk pretty darn good, and they're bomb-proof. So, you know, if you were looking to get a new primary prosthesis, you could go that route and take those in the ocean or the, you know, the fresh water, and they're pretty impervious to damage. But if you're in, like I said earlier, if you're in your microprocessor knee, just those aren't something you really want to take in the water. I see a lot of veterans I work with taking their X3s in the water, but they've got 4 or 5 of them, you know, so that's a different deal. So just be cautious when it comes to that. So.
Check your warranty. Check your warranty.
Yeah. Make sure your warranty is, you've still got 9 months. So.
Yeah. And another thing I want to just add real quick, here in
Marge, just for a sec. So in the next 5 minutes, Jamie is going to put in the chat box a link. Actually, Paul is, sorry. A link. So the link is for a survey, and it's to receive the full-size 4-part kit.
Yay.
If you would please fill out the survey, and then we're going to draw a name from the individuals that participate. Thank you. Sorry for interrupting. I just wanted to get that little plug in there while we're wrapping it up.
That's a good one, guys. That's a real good one there. No, the only thing I was going to comment on was, you know, I live on the Gulf Coast of Florida, which we are world known for our sugar sand beaches. It really just is super, super, super fine. So I take it for granted that we can go barefoot and not a problem. But other beaches, for example, on the west coast of, the east coast of Florida, and even up the east coast of the United States, where many of you might vacation, very rocky, very full of shells. So highly encourage you that on your sound foot that you wear a water shoe.
Absolutely.
With a good tread. We want to protect those feet, not only from slipping, but from puncture wounds from the shells. I've seen some pretty nasty injuries from that. So I guess that's my other plug. Go vacation on the west coast of Florida. It's way better. And you can also, like I said, for us, I take it for granted, our waters are fairly calm. So you really can put your beach chair right at the water's edge, and it'll still be there when you go back to it. So that's probably why we can use that hack pretty nicely here.
Well, good points. I think those are good points. And I think, you know, on Florida too, I always think about golfing down there. So it's another thing we don't talk about, but it's an activity to get out there. You're walking, you're working on proprioception, core. But the one thing that I do encounter personally when I golf is I sweat a lot. And I think this is one of the things where the liquid to powder can help everybody. So pay attention to that, do a little research, read up on the web links that we have on the products. And if we can control that perspiration, you're going to have a less issue when you're trying to golf, because we're kind of touching on winter sports or summer sports, but I think a lot of big summer sport is golfing. And I think there's a lot of people out there who really enjoy that sport. I guess really on what you said, Cozy, I think my hack is go do what you love to do prior to amputation. And if there's a way to do it, There's a way to do it comfortably and safely. If that's golfing or bowling or lacrosse or pickleball, there's so many things you can do. Just because we're an amputee, you shouldn't not go try that again. When it comes to alpine skiing, you want to take it at these higher levels like Johnny does, then I think that we're here for you with that. So, oh yeah, hang on. I see Mitch just popped up. Can you mention?
Question? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to type in black
information again.
KX06. I think that's
Oh.
what he wants, right?
I'm sorry.
The KX06 Blatchford. I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what
Okay. So yeah, I think Mitch, if you're looking into a prosthetic knee, obviously transfemoral knee, it's a Blatchford KX06. It's a stance and swing hydraulic knee that has a polycentric linkage. They're super tough. They're water impervious to the elements, even the fine sand on the beach that Florida has to offer. That won't, get in their seals and stuff. Oh, Chris put it in there. So yeah, great bomb-proof knee. So if you're activity orientated and you're looking for something that'll let you do water sports or golf or ski, I've got a veteran that skis on a KX06 and does wonderfully. So I don't work with that company. I have a lot of experience with them, but I can tell you it's a fantastic device that's available. So
Actually wrote that down. I was like, ooh, that's a new one. I need to learn about that one a little more.
Yeah. Johnny put it in there, U.S. Adaptive Golf Alliance. There you go. So another good point. So again, find your love and let's get back to it. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yep.
I like that. That was awesome. Find your love, folks.
Yep.
Figure out the passion. And sounds like there's a lot of support out there for you. If there's anything you feel the three or all the team can help you with insofar as finding a support organization, whether it is sports specific or adaptive in general, please feel free to reach out to myself and I will make sure to get with Cozy and Greg so that we can help you, whether your passion is tennis or swimming, skiing, stand up, badminton. I love badminton. I'm just saying. So whatever you guys would like to get into, just let us know and we'd love to help you with that. So.
Absolutely.
All right. So we got 4 minutes and we don't have a winner yet. So
oh, come on, guys, fill out those surveys. This is a great kick.
So while we're waiting for the survey, I'm going to just give a second in case anyone has any other questions for Cozy and Greg. And then just want to go through a few slides, talk about where to find Cozy Talks and some of the resources that we have insofar as past webinars to share, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just going to give a sec on that.
That's awesome. No, I think probably.
I didn't know he had a little buddy. Look at, he's got a friend.
Who does?
I want to say Ralph, the skeleton. Bob. Bob, who's Bob's friend?
Oh, this is the other Bob. I have 4 Bobs that people have sent me.
Oh, so Bob has multiple it's his
Is a multiple personality. Yeah. And there's this.
Oh, he looks like a Terminator, Bob.
He does. And then I have a life-size one that's like 6 feet tall. I don't know what the kids did with him.
Awesome. I love it. All right, Bob. Bye, Bob. Appreciate you. Okay, so the winner is Sharon K. Okay. Congratulations, Sharon, for winning the 4-part. We're going to have my email address up here in a second. So please take a picture, write it down so we can get your address. And well, there it is. God love Jamie. So on that note, folks, Paul's going to share some slides. I want to say, first off, thank you, Cozy and Greg. You're amazing.
Sure.
And so for the webinar this evening, we've got a special offer, 20% off, whatever you choose with that code, get moving. No G on that, get moving 20.
Awesome.
And Cozy Talks, big shout out here. Again, every Wednesday night, Eastern time at 8:30. All things involved with limb loss and supporting the community. And she's brilliant and she's got amazing folks on the program. Just not only inspirational, but super informative. So check her out.
Thank you.
And there's us and there's me. So my email's down there. Reach out, as I mentioned, if we can help you at all with any type of support. And we do ask if you've enjoyed tonight's webinar. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Please share, twit. I'm 56, so I don't have the jargon down, but share, twit, Insta us. If you feel this has been beneficial and that we can help anybody else, we would love to do that and appreciate you sharing that with others. So on that note, I want to say thank you to everybody and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks, Cozy. Thank you, Chris. Good to
Good
see
night, guys.
everybody. Okay. We'll talk to you all soon. Thanks for coming. Happy Thanksgiving.